They say it's a copycat league, and with what the Eagles just did in the Super Bowl, utter dominance, I could see every other team wanting to copy that mold. But in order to do that, you need to grab some talented defensive linemen, most notably edge rushers. And today, man, oh man, this is one of the most talented and stacked edge rushing classes I've seen in over the last decade. So without further ado, that's enough yapping. Let's get into it and rank the top 10 guys in this year's class. We're going to kick it off here with JT Tuimoloau, but before we get into the national champion, I do want to say that in this class, I think I have 11 guys in my top 55, so that is how talented and how deep this edge rushing class is. Again, one of the most talented I've seen in a long time. At number 11, barely missing the list, was Braden Swinson out of LSU. Ferocious, violent edge rusher that has good bend to him. He barely misses today's list. So just to show you how talented this class is, I'm high on about 11 to 12 of these guys. But at number 10 is JT. Again, 46 pressures this past season, 12 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 12% win rate off the edge, en route to a national championship. Now, I do want to say that I wanted this guy to be higher, man. I'm just a big fan watching him. You want to root for this guy because of how he looks, of course, for one, but two, just because of how he plays, right? It's an exciting play style. But what I do want to say is that he started the year off very slow. And if it wasn't for this second half of the season, again, just turn around the last 5 or 6 weeks of the year, I don't think he'd be in my top 10. But that the last 5 or 6 weeks of the regular season, and then of course the postseason run as well, is why I think everyone is now coming back around to the idea that, hey, we're excited about drafting a guy like JP or JT here in just a couple weeks. But in short, I do think he's very explosive off the line, good first step, and I think he's great as a run defender. Pass rushing can use a little bit of work, but I do think he has a plan in his approach. And again, that's always something that you want to see from these edge rushers at the next level. Outside of that, I think he can get a little bit stronger. There we go. But I think all these guys, the same sentiment can be shared between all these guys. At number 9 is a bit of a sleeper. I don't hear a lot of people talking about him, but Ashton Gillette, or Gelati, right? However you want to pronounce his name. 6'3", 275. He's a big man, right? But 60 pressures and 5 sacks with an alarming 21% win rate last season. So every 5th play, this dude's getting in the backfield and making some kind of a play. You love to see that production out of the former Louisville Cardinal. So again, this is the guy that the size is there, the production is there, and the get-off speed is there. So there's a lot of things to get excited about Ashton Gelati here out of Louisville. The things I worry about is his leverage at times, but those are technical things that can be polished at the next level. Overall, I think it's a steal, and he's going to go probably day 2, maybe day 3. Overall, again, I think he's going to be a steal down the board. This is my one player where in today's video, it's going to ruffle some feathers, but Mykel Williams, 6'5", 265, is a little bit down my list, but I'll explain why. Last year, the production was okay. 26 pressures, 5 sacks, and a forced fumble. But given the amount of snaps that he played, at Georgia last year, I give him a little bit of a break because he had a high ankle sprain and he missed some time. But last year when he did play again, the production was okay. 11% win rate to go along with it. I do think he has a very great build and strength and size profile going into the next level. NFL teams like what they see, again, at 6'5", 265. He is very athletic, but he has a history of high ankle sprains, and there is, things to his game where when you're watching his tape, he has wasted movement, right? I think he's doing a little bit too much with his hands or too much with his feet. I think he just needs to be more so of a point A to point B kind of a guy. Let's not have this bended A to B line. Let's keep it a straight line. Let's, when the ball snap, get to where we're supposed to go. Let's not try and be Superman on every single play. But Mykel Williams, the athletic tools are there. There's a lot to be excited about. I just think that the guys above him also have the athletic tools to be excited about, but the production is a little bit better. One of those guys is Jalen Walker, 6'2", 245. Immediately, though, you look at his size and you say he's built like a linebacker, and he's still a little bit small to be playing linebacker. But this is a guy like Travon Walker from a few years back. Gives you that versatility where he could be playing off the edge, and he's very fast, elite bend and get off speed in that department. But he can also step back and play linebacker. So for the versatility aspect, I am going to give Jalen Walker the bit of an edge. And last year, when he did play edge, 34 pressures, 7 sacks with that elite get-off speed and bend, and a 17% win rate. His scary speed that he has and his play strength, he plays a lot bigger than 245. And I like the versatility. I like the potential that we've seen a little bit more out of Jalen Walker than Mykel Williams. And I just like a lot of the things that you do see. Again, there's things to get excited about with Jalen Walker, but the cons, however, not having a set position is a bit of a con to me, right? Because Trayvon Walker, he's shown a lot of great flashes at the next level with the Jaguars, but he's not as good of a prospect, I would say, or player as Aiden Hutchinson, who's solely focused on one position, and he's dominated when he's been healthy. Trayvon Walker, you can't really say he's dominated at one position. And sometimes, again, having the versatility is a pro and a con. But at the end of the day, when you look at just the prospect overall, given his versatility, I have him over his teammate in Mykel Williams. Going forward on this list, there is no question about these guys' positions. They are pure and utterly dominant edge rushers, and again, any team is going to be happy with any of these top 6 guys. But Donovan Onwuzurike, I'm terrible at pronouncing last names just like my own, so please forgive me in that department. But at 6'2", 250, a bit undersized, right? But I will say 59 pressures, 14 sacks, and 3 forced fumbles makes up for it. So I'm pretty happy there. 17% win rate from Donovan this past season. First team All ACC. I think his closing speed is elite, whether if you want to say it is, in the run game or if he needs to chase down a guy in the pass game, one of these quarterbacks that are mobile at the next level. The only thing I worry about with Donovan, I think he's very complete prospect with a high floor, higher ceiling, is his play strength. Sometimes he's a little bit lackadaisical, right? Sometimes he just solely gets beat by the offensive tackles of the world, and that's going to happen, especially when you translate to the NFL. But again, they're just technical things, and I think there are a little bit of effort things that he could work on going into the next level. But I think he's a very complete prospect, and a lot of teams are going to be happy to have him, maybe as early as late round 1. Another guy that I could see going late round 1 is Jack Sawyer. Again, national champion, so he gets his flowers in that department. 55 pressures, 9 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. Of course, en route to a national championship. So shout out to Jack Sawyer there at 6'5", 260. Great size here. Ideal NFL edge rusher size. And honestly, you can make an argument that this is a guy that comes in not only with the production, not only with the size, but maybe the biggest motor in the class as the edge rusher position. He's just a relentless guy, never gives up. He's always chasing down, trying to make the play, and the right play at that. But outside of that, I think it's a very high floor. He's very strong. He is a good pass rusher. The only things you worry about with Jack Sawyer, he's an okay run defender. You want to see him get better in that department. But also his arm length. Again, sub 33-inch arms. I don't worry about arm length as much, but if you want to be technical and look at these prospects like these NFL GMs do, you want to look at the arm length. And Jack Sawyer, a little bit of the shorter arms. But again, I have no worries about that. He can go as early as round 1. One of my guys in this class is Princely Umanmielen. Hopefully I pronounced that right. But at 6'5", 255, you already know what I'm going to say. Elite size, ideal NFL size for the next level. And the production was there as well. 55 pressures, 11 sacks, good length, great strength. I think his pass rushing ability is what really makes him stand out. I think he could beat you with his hands in the finesse department, or he could just straight bull rush you and get to the quarterback. I just, for some reason, even as a Gators fan, fell in love with a lot of these Ole Miss defensive linemen. Guys like, again, Walter Nolan and Princely are 2 guys that I just love their tape, and I think their potential is even higher. Princely, with his elite bend and all the physical tools that he brings to the game, I think he's going to be a steal, man. I think he is a first-round pick, and outside of the overall inconsistencies and overall polishing that he will get in the technical department at the next level, I think he's an elite prospect, man, and he's one of my guys for a reason. Another guy is Mike Green, man. 63 pressures, 17 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. But 49 tackles for losses is what makes this dude stand out. I will say this. He was in an easier conference of play than guys like Princely or Jack Sawyer or pretty much anybody on this list. But the production was that, I guess, outstanding that you can't really overlook how great he was for the Thundering Herd last year. But 21% win rate, There is a reason why he is America's favorite edge rusher in this year's class. He dominated Senior Bowl weekend. And when you look at on the field, we can go on and on. I mean, he was first team All Sun Belt. He has great get off and closing speed. So not only can he impact the run game, even if he has a bad start to the play, but also the passing game. He just has a violent play style, elite spin move, elite just overall pass rushing attack that he brings to a defense. The only things that I have worries about, he's a little bit overly aggressive. And this is a guy that has a bit of a slender frame, so it's going to be a bit easier for these tackles to get their hands on him, hands on Mike Green. But I mean, those are the same words we had before Senior Bowl weekend, and he was just running through people almost every single rep. So Mike Green, the dominance, the upside, you love everything about him. And he's going to go as early, probably, as the top 10 in the draft, as crazy as that may sound. Now, I don't feel too confident about this one. Honestly, I kind of like Mike Green and Princely more in this argument here. But, hey, James Pearce, I can see why everyone is still excited about the Tennessee Volunteer. 55 pressures, 8 sacks, and a forced fumble this past season with a 23% win rate. So, again, almost every fourth play, he's going to make something happen or impact the ball somehow, some way in the backfield. So you love that about him. He might be the most explosive guy in this class at the edge position. And the last 2 years, the production is there as well. As long as the stats I just read off, first team all SEC honors. I just think that he has so much potential. The only things you want to worry about is his attitude, right? I am not in the Twitter sphere as much as other people are, but I will say this. Apparently, he's a bit of a character, we'll say, on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. So you want to worry about his attitude issues a little bit, but honestly, I don't care. If you can go out in the field and produce, I don't care what you're saying, as long as it's kind of respectful, right? You don't want to get too crazy. Outside of his attitude issues, which some people have talked about, he is a little bit lighter in weight, but at 240, I think he will bulk up, get up to 250 for the combine here in a couple weeks. And this is a guy that's going to be a complete package for any team drafting him in about a month and a half, 2 months' time. So James Pearce, everything is there. Maybe the attitude just needs a little bit of work. And at number one, this might be everybody's number one player in this class. To me, he's in the conversation. I don't know if he's solely number one, but Abdul Carter. Abdul, man, if you're watching this for whatever reason, you are a future Cleveland Brown, or at least that's my hope here. Of course, I'm hoping we go into a full hard set rebuild, but 58 pressures, 12 sacks, the production is there with a 23% win rate. I will say that, he is compared to Micah Parsons, and for good reason. Of course, Penn State, that's obviously a great connection there between Micah Parsons, but he has so much versatility. He played outside linebacker for a lot of his early career at Penn State, but this year was really his first full year at edge, and he adapted quickly, man. Obviously, you see the production is there. He's an elite athlete. I think as a pass rusher, he checks all the boxes because he's very consistent as well in all of his pass rushing attacks and how, I guess, his impact is consistent from start to finish. Obviously, everyone likes to point to the Michigan game 2 years ago because Michigan ran the ball like 23 straight times, and that's simply for the fact that Michigan, which, by the way, they went on to be the national champions, they could not block Abdul Carter. He was impacting every single pass play that they tried early on, so much so that they just ran the ball 23 straight times, and most of those were to the opposite side of Abdul Carter. That is the impact that he can have on a game. He can disrupt in an offensive game plan in an instant, and he's going to be a top 3 pick in this NFL draft, maybe even number 1 in the draft. Outside of that, maybe you worry about his block shedding ability at the next level in the run game, but Abdul Carter is so impactful on the field that he's going to find a way, no matter what, to impact the play. He is potentially the next great edge rusher at the next level. So, rightfully so, again, he's going to be a top 3 pick. Hopefully, it is by my Cleveland Browns at number 2, and hopefully we don't ruin his career like Myles Garrett. But here is my top 10 edge rushers. If you stay a minute, I'll give you my top 15. Of course, you see loads of guys in my top 50. And, of course, Ashton Gillotte and JT Tuimoloau, they're just outside. So, again, I have 11 guys in my top 55 on my big board, which I'll give to you guys before the combine. But here it is. Of course, Abdul had a 96 overall grade, and he is, I think, 97 or 98 is the highest. So keep that in mind. He's up there, right? But everybody else, you see their grade as well as their position. And then here's my top 15. Braden Swinson, again, violent pass rusher out of LSU. I love him. I think he's going to be a sneaky third round pick, and I want my Cleveland Browns to get him as well, man. Let's just stack up on this defensive line. Nick Scourton, Landon Jackson, Jordan Burch, Kyle Kennard, and Tyler Barron round out my top 16 pass rushers in this year's class. Let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know your favorites heading into this class. And let me know in the comments who you want your favorite team to potentially get in just a couple months.